Okay, this is Field Bug Report number 50. That's some of the music here. Anyway, just wanted to show you this. This is what I'm thinking of right now. Hopefully I can get this on the camera, the whole thing. Alright, that's a gun sight. And it's on that kind of double snake symbol that you find at the beginning of every statute in the Virginia Code and probably every code around the country. That's what I'm focusing on, okay? Focus your guns on the law, people, not each other, alright? Because that's where the bug is. That's where the snakes are, alright? Okay? I think I'm going to go with Rights Integration Agency or Advocacy. Sorry, I got a little problem in my throat today. Anyway, so we need to get the law changed. And I know specifically where it needs to be changed. Alright? I'm not talking general, I'm talking very specific here. Now look up the words rights integration, the two words in quotes on the internet there, and always come up with rights, comma, integration, or rights and integration, as if they're kind of like two separate issues. I'm talking about rights integration, integrating your rights into the law itself. All right, I'm talking about, making sure that I have a right to tell my public servants and to make sure that they recognize my rights and that they give me the opportunity to exercise those rights. And they give everybody the opportunity to exercise those rights at the appropriate time. And I think that's what's being completely overlooked here. You've got to be very specific about this. People, you need specifically to have, if you're accused, as soon as you have been labeled the accused by your public servants, the police, as soon as that happens, they need to be thinking immediately, no searches until, no invasive searches of this person, the accused, okay, without a warrant from a magistrate. They need, and this person has the right to speak to a magistrate forthwith, immediately, all right? No delays, no excuses, all right? The only thing that they can concern themselves with is security, but beyond that, that's it, all right? Okay, and I know, I'm pretty sure I know what the reasoning is going to be in the court, and it's entirely based on the law. Therefore, there's a problem with the law. It needs to be changed, all right? And we need to make certain people accountable for this law. We got to be specific, and I think the sheriff should be held accountable to enforce to enforce, the police, this law on the police. All right, this change that we're going to be making, the sheriff should be held accountable for executing this particular change. All right, so that's going to be in the law too, that the sheriff's going to be held accountable for this. All right, not the police, but the sheriff, because he's the ultimate law enforcement officer. So we have to hold him accountable more than anybody else. All right. And that's it. All right, that's pretty much what I think we need to do. So I'm focusing on that specifically, and I think this will help eliminate numerous other problems that arise because this issue isn't being addressed. All right, numerous other issues arise, black versus white, whatever. But that's because this issue is not being addressed in the law. All right. So, what else? Okay, well, we need to go talk to our politicians, our delegates and senators about this and turn them back into statesmen instead of politicians playing, the popularity contest. Okay, that's a lot of what they do, and we need to get in their face and tell them, hey, this law needs to be changed. We, the people, need to do this. All right. So the first thing I noticed is that this legislation was in 1991. It was introduced, a bill. All right. So I forget if it was 19.2-82 or 19.2-59. I forget which, but I'm going to have to go back to. Oh yeah, 19.2-82. That was originally, the relevant changes were introduced back in 1991. So I want to find out what particular delegate or senator, probably one of both, introduced this particular bill and sponsored it that made this change in the law. And I can't get that information online. I'm going to have to go back to 1991, and I'm going to have to go to a law library and look this up. Look this up in the Acts of Assembly. All right. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm going to go to. I got the choices of the Library of Virginia, Henrico Law Library, Chesterfield Law Library, DCU, U of R, and the Richmond Law Library, and I think I'm probably going to go with the state. But, I don't know which one I'm going to do. Probably go with the state, because, these county law libraries, they're in the middle of the government complex, so I think I'll just go to the state, I mean, a lot of government down there, but let's just say that the administration is it's a few blocks away, or a couple blocks away at least. So, anyway, yeah. I understand that J. Sergeant Reynolds might have something too. That would be of interest. Because they have a paralegal department. Anyway, let's see. In history of legislation, I might need to find that out. Focus on that. So anyway, that's the plan for now. Look up the history of the legislation and find out who has an interest in it, or at least who has shown an interest in these particular laws. And that's the thing. I'm going to write down something here. This is going to be like a secret word that I'm not going to tell you. So, okay. That's the name of my website, and I don't want anybody to grab it, okay, because I don't have it yet. So anyway, but it's pretty unique name, and I think this is, well, one thing I need to go over is deduction versus induction, okay, the type of reasoning. All right. People have an interest on something. They generally reason from the general to specific. Okay? But there are definitely times when you have to go back. General to specific, but then you have to go back from specific to general, and that's what I'm starting to do now. I've gotten really specific. Now I have to, go to like everybody and show them, hey, listen, everybody, you got all of you. Everybody has an interest in this. All right, black, white, whatever. Everybody has an interest in this. All right, everybody has an interest. All right. So this is like not a special interest group. It's still an interest group, but it's not a special interest group. It's still an interest group that we're talking about here. So maybe we want to call it the all-inclusive interest group or something like that, or the omni-interest group. I don't know, all-inclusive, maybe, interest group, maybe, something like that. I don't know. This is just a thought stream here, so, live with it, okay? Maybe I'm not using quite the right words, but I don't want to call it a special interest group. All right. We got groups on the web, Yahoo groups, Google groups, and so forth, but they are always, you always start out with a general topic when you're searching for one, and then you get more specific, and you look for a group that meets your specific interests. But I'm thinking, how do we go about getting people interested in this particular issue, this very specific issue, okay? Because I've gone way beyond what most people do. All right, they just look at numbers and generalities. That's what numbers are, statistics. That's just generally speaking. That's not getting specific. So how do we get people to look at a very specific issue and deal with that? And then, look at the next very specific issue and then deal with that one. Rather than just kind of reducing everything down to a number and dealing with the numbers. I'm like, yeah, okay, there's a lot of blacks in prison. That's a problem. But there's a lot of whites in prison, too. Comparing the number of blacks to whites in prison doesn't get you anywhere. All right? Those numbers don't mean anything. You by using numbers, you kind of suck the meaning out of the whole situation. You're missing the whole point. And so, anyway, this is my opinion. You got to get focused, people. Focused and get really, really specific. All right? And focus on the critical issue. All right? Not the general issue that's bothering you. All right? You got to move that gun sight around and start searching. All right? I'm going to call it like the gun sight cursor. All right? I wish I had a cursor on my computer that was actually like a gun sight rather than a pointer. All right? Cursor. Let me write that down. There probably is such a thing. Somebody's probably thought of that before, so I'm going to look for that on the internet, see if I can change my cursor to a gun sight. Anyway, but yeah, this is what I want to modify, all right, is the law. That's the specific problem. We got to track it down and fix it. All right. Let's see, how many minutes is that? Oh, 14 minutes. Maybe I'll cut it off right here. Okay, this is going to be Arrest the Field's bug report, number 50. All right.